Mark Sindlinger's last high school match and my last match as a coach I brought for you. I made you look good, big time, dude. I had a mustache, a lot of hair, and a leisure suit. I was 24 years old when I got a job at Charles City High School, head wrestling coach. And I just want to say, I've talked about this a lot. I learned more from my athletes at that time than they learned from me. And Mark Sindlinger was a part of that. And two things that I directly with Mark Sindlinger. One, as a coach, don't try to predict too soon who your best athletes are going to be. And two, don't put limits on kids, what you might think they can accomplish. Mark was a 7th grader at that time. And during that year, my first year, I had coaches and other people say, you got to come down and check out our 7th grade class. We had a great 7th grade class. And so when I went down a couple times, there was a group of maybe 6 or 7 kids that 3 or 4 of them were real athletic. Mark wasn't one of them. Mark was that chubby kid over here that worked real hard, and I'm thinking, he'll be all right. Maybe make our team as a junior, go to state as a senior. Well, I'm going to fast forward real quick. When he got up there, 10th grade year, he wasn't so chubby and really had surpassed everybody else in that group. And the first tournament we go to, back then, understand there was a super heavyweight and a heavyweight. You guys remember that? 230 pounds and up was super heavyweight, under 230 was heavyweight. Well, we had another kid that was pretty good. I said, well, we need somebody to go super heavyweight. Mark weighed about, 225 or something. And I said, a gallon of water is 8 pounds. You don't have to drink the whole thing. So we got him to super heavyweight, but the first tournament, we were wrestling the returning runner-up at super heavyweight. He was maybe pushing 300 pounds. And I heard, are you going to wrestle Sindlinger against that guy? I think so. And he was big. And I heard that Sharon, Mark's mom, what if he gets hurt? She didn't say it, but someone said she was worried about it, so I started worrying about it, but I faked it. And I held my breath for about 45 seconds because that's how long it took for Mark to pin him, thank goodness. And after that, I'm like, I told you he's fine, I told you. Mark wins the state title as a sophomore, wins the state title as a junior, wins the state title as a senior, wins the national freestyle championship, wins the national Greco-Roman championship. He's the #1 heavyweight in America his senior year. The Iowa football program really did a great job recruiting him. They were there almost every meet. Gable, you got lucky here. Gable was, of course, when Gable comes in, everybody, Gable's here. But he knew where he wanted to go. He wanted to go to Iowa. Mark was also a 2-time All-State, first team All-State football player. He was the elite team center in the state of Iowa. And so the question was, not where I'm going to go so much, but what sport should I play? And people were giving him all kinds of advice. People were telling me. And I'm thinking, that kid should wrestle. And he just wasn't sure. They obviously wanted him to play football. Make a long story short, Mark said, I want to do both. Who does that? You can't do both in the Big Ten. You can't play both sports in the Big Ten. Maybe you should go to a smaller school and do both. Maybe you should pick one. But no, I'm going to do both. No one has done that to the level this kid did that since. It's been 25 plus years. I'm not talking about participation, going out for 2 sports. I'm talking about starting center for Hayden Fry, a bowl game every year for 3 years. I'm talking about starting for Dan Gable for 3 years. When you get there in January after a bowl game, 2-time Big Ten champion, 2-time NCAA All-American. Who does that, man? Nobody does that. Well, I'm going to introduce you to our next Hall of Famer who did that, Mark Sindlinger. Congratulations.
I don't think I can follow that. It's getting a little deeper up here, though. I forgot to bring my boots. They always make the heavyweight go last, right, Dick? But no, thank you for everybody. I appreciate this honor. I'm very honored and blessed to be here tonight with Gene, with Marv, with Bob and Jamie. Any more whining, and I'm going to have you spend some summer with Bob. They don't like some of my rules. I just got some new ones. But, and I see there's a different microphone. I was here a few times. I watched the Brands Brothers. I assume they tore it up when they were here their years. I don't know if any of you remember that, but I do. And in 7th grade, I did spend a lot of time on my back in the wrestling room. My dad and I had lots of conversations about swimming or wrestling. But obviously I chose correctly. You know, it is a great honor. I'm blessed to have a great family. You know, my parents, you know, figured out early what it was to be successful. Hang out with Coach Miller, learn how to wrestle. They worked very hard at their business growing up, and it spilled over to us as children. And, you know, I remember early on, Dad taking us to sporting events, football games, wrestling meets. You know, we spent a lot of time. We traveled to the national wrestling meets. I get to watch the best wrestlers in the world wrestle. And, you know, I always wanted to be part of that. And a big part of that, you know, thanks to my parents for everything, you know, with what they did. And also for my mom for making me wear headgear every match and every practice. You can see how that works, and everybody can look around and see how it didn't work for others. But when I first moved back to Charles City about 17 years ago, and I started going up to the wrestling room for practice. And I think maybe my first or second practice back, I stopped the practice. I was working out with one of the heavyweights. I said, okay, I know your mom, I know your mom, I know your mom, I know your mom, and I'm giving them a call when I get home from practice. After the next break, everybody had headgear on the rest of the night. But no, it is good. I learned a lot. You know, and some of the stuff that happened, you know, and it wasn't. The coaching was there, obviously, with what I had. You know, Coach Miller was. You were 24 when you came to Charles City. 24. My third year or so maybe 27. When I first came there, you had Pullman as a grad assistant. Was he a 2-time national champ with you? I think my first practice, I came home after my freshman year and said to my dad, I said, Dad, I don't think I've had a beating worse than I had today in practice room. He said, good. You better wrestle him again tomorrow. So, and obviously it helped, you know, a lot. And I wrestled JV as a freshman. Wasn't varsity. Well, I did wrestle one match varsity because I think our heavyweight was hiding from the Osage wrestler, I think. He was sick that day. But I did get to wrestle him again the next year and beat him. So, but you know, when my freshman year, I remember after practice with Dave Williams was there, with Wendell was an assistant. I remember WW and Coach Miller grabbed me after practice. You know, about halfway through my freshman year wrestling JV, he said, "You know what? Get that first state title out of the way." I'm like, "What? First state title of what?" He said, "Okay, just get it out of the way. Just get to work and get it done." He said, then it stepped up because they must have talked to my parents too. Because from then on, it was extra workouts, extra weightlifting, freestyle tournaments every weekend, Obviously it helped a lot, made a huge difference for me. But my 10th grade year, first year down at state, I'd never been to vets before, the barn. And the rules were, get out of the van, keep your head down. When they call your name, go wrestle your match, keep your head down, get back in the weigh-in, and we're going back to the hotel. That was it. Those are the rules. I said, okay, I can do that, coach. It changed a little bit through the years, though. I mean, I think my senior year, hence that picture, they had a little break before the match. Coach Miller was standing there in his leisure suit. I said, okay, which pocket do I put my glasses in so I don't break them when I jump in your arms after the match? So that was the goals. You know, it was a lot of fun, a lot of work. You know, then I was reading, you know, obviously making my choices of what I wanted to do, but it was nice on the website with Coach Gable's quote on the Hall of Fame website. It says, more enduringly than any other sport, wrestling teaches self-control and pride. Some have wrestled without great skill. None have wrestled without pride. And I think that's just indicative tonight of what I've been able to listen to, and it's a lot of fun, and I can't believe I haven't been coming to this every year to listen to these stories. But also, you know, when I did go to college, it was more about survival than getting better at first. Because I did come there, you know, we'd go to a bowl game every year. In high school, I was a wrestler. Then I played some football. In college, I was a football player, and then I got to go out for wrestling. I showed up in January for the bowl games, and the Bannock's were there licking their chops. Mark Johnson was the assistant, you know, coach in the room. If you scored on him once in a practice, it was a good practice. I remember one of my first weightlifting sessions. You know, the weightlifting in Iowa football is good, obviously, but different. I hated it when Coach Gable ran weightlifting. He'd say, okay, pick up that crowbar. I'm like, okay, do a couple reps. He said, all right, now give me 100. All right. So I'm lifting with Mark Johnson one morning when Gable wasn't there, and he decided to do heavyweights and tuna, as we call him. He had, I think it was 275 pounds. He got up to that with doing behind the neck presses. And he missed his rep on there. And it was my turn next, but as he left the room, slammed the door. I'm like, okay, I guess my weight workout's over for the day. I was happy. He comes storming back in, sits down, does 3 reps with it. So, and I knew it was going to be a long day that day, for the rest of the day. But I was very fortunate. Obviously, with Coach Miller now at Wartburg, he's won 20 state conference titles, 9 national titles. Coach Gable, 21 out of 21 conference titles, 15 out of 21 national titles. I really didn't have a choice but to try to do the best that I could, learn from them. I mean, so it was very exciting, lots of fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I have 3 daughters. I'm still waiting for the lesson coach on just daughters, Coach Gable. I haven't gotten that yet. I got teenagers now. But you know, my focus is different. Julie and I are blessed with 3 daughters that make good choices. We're having a lot of fun. But I'm opposite away from football and wrestling anymore. I get to spend time in the gyms, you know, watching volleyball. Lots of fun, watching our kids grow. Walking around the golf courses with practice rounds. Playing catch. You know, my youngest and I were shooting some hoops tonight for a few minutes before we came. Lots of good times. Our weekends now are gym. 14 hours are not watching wrestling tournaments anymore, but volleyball tournaments. But we enjoy every minute of it. We're having a lot of fun. But I enjoy sports and what they've done for me and our family. And I do enjoy watching my children, you know, learning how to compete, you know, learning how to be good sports, and also learning how to win. All the lessons I learned through the years of competing, all the hard work I was able to put in, I try to convey to them and help them move forward. And I know I wouldn't be it without all these people in this room and all the stories that you have, and I love to hear it. And once again, thanks, everybody for electing me as part of this group. And I am excited to be a member of the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame. Thank you.